Hold on, let me officially call the meeting to order of the Salem High School Building Committee for July 17th.
Okay.
And I need a motion to approve the votes for the June 18th meeting.
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
Okay, I got Anthony and Matt.
questions, comments, concerns, changes? Hearing or seeing none, all those in favor, please, we're gonna do a roll call.
Roll call, okay.
yeah.
All right, Anthony,
Yes.
Dominic,
Yes.
Beth Ann,
Yes.
Megan, if she's here, I don't think she's here. Glenn is not here. Nate,
Yes.
Rick is not here. Matt,
Yes.
Betsy? Saw Betsy.
Yes.
Okay. Betsy Perla is not here. Bob McCarthy is next, but I'm going to come back to him. Lori Miranda? Don't see Lori.
She's not here.
Okay, she's not here. Keith,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Jenna. Jenna, that was a yes? Okay, Steve,
Yes.
James LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mario, I think he's not here. Neil Duffy. See Neil. Elizabeth. Elizabeth, yes. Okay, Z.
I thought you only needed the voting members, the people that are not voting
yeah,
members.
We only do. I'm just giving everyone a chance to vote. So Z, Lisa,
Yes.
Hadassah, I think is not here, but I see Rylan. Rylan voting on the minutes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. There we go.
Any nays or abstentions? Hearing or seeing none, the motion carries. Thanks, everyone. Go ahead, Margaret. You're on milestone schedule review and next steps.
I just wanted to see, Sabrina, was that Bob McCarthy on the phone, and are you able to bring him in?
Yeah, hi. He should be a panelist now.
I see him now. Okay.
Just did, thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you,
Am
Sabrina.
I vote
I'm
yes
gonna
for
just
the
go ahead
minutes.
and make the mayor and Margaret co-hosts.
That would be great.
And Bob just voted yes for the minutes.
If Bob voted yes for the minutes. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Excellent. Okay, so
You are most welcome.
let's just talk briefly about the agenda. Can we go back up? There we go. So we're going to do the milestone review. We're going to talk about the meeting we had yesterday, I guess, with the MSBA. We're going to give a design update, an update on CM selection, and an update from the finance working group. So let me pivot to the milestone review. It's a little less packed than it was the last time we got together. So, same red line moving across the screen. So we've started, basically the design team started schematic design right after the submission on June 26th, and they have fully launched their process. So we have until mid-December to complete the package, but that's actually going to mean doing estimating in November. So between now and early November, they're going to be working very hard to develop the schematic design. Jenny, you have your hand up? No hand up. Okay. Okay, so then here is the milestone schedule review. Again, somewhat less packed, partly because there are fewer pieces that are feeding into this. The school committee has approved the educational program and will be reporting to them, but they are not going to need to take any votes anytime soon. So the big line items are, we have about approximately for the next couple of months, a monthly meeting, although Brooke and I both see the need to potentially have more than one meeting in October and November, but for the moment, we've got a monthly meeting booked. The CM selection is moving along quickly, and we'll give an update on that later. And then on the MSBA side, we've submitted, they did their preliminary review, which is for completion. We made some adjustments. The preferred schematic report that is posted on the website in its entirety incorporates all of those responses we gave them. And then yesterday we had the Facilities Assessment Subcommittee, and they are now reviewing and providing comments on the report. So we expect that sometime in mid to late August, we'll see their comments back if they keep to their kind of 6-week turnaround. Any questions about that? Okay, why don't we keep going? All right, so update on Facility Assessment Subcommittee. So I'm going to say a couple words about this. I'm going to ask Steve to say a couple words about this. The meeting was yesterday. I don't really have a role except a very brief one in this meeting. So I had a chance to do things. So many people, there's 72 people in this meeting yesterday, most of them on the MSBA side. But one thing I thought was very interesting was they started when we joined, when they allowed us into the meeting, they were looking at this data, which Brooke and I immediately took pictures of, which was providing context, which is benchmarking the project against other projects that they have seen, that group has seen recently or will be seeing. And you can see in the blue bars on the bottom, Salem is sort of coming in kind of at a comparable, very close to the average that they have for building costs.
Margaret, can I just say one thing? When I
Yeah.
was looking at this further, it's important to note that most of these buildings are elementary schools.
Mm-hmm.
So elementary schools typically do not come in at the same level. They're lower than high schools, and this is a comprehensive high school. So that even adds additional costs. So that's all good news for us.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is that Brooke and I were digitally high-fiving ourselves afterwards because it was the most positive Facilities Assessment Committee meeting we've ever attended. It's a group of board members who act as peer reviewers. The meeting is about an hour. It was led by Steve, and then quite a bit about the design from Brooke, and then about 60 seconds from me at the end about options. So, Steve, do you want to make any comment to the committee about what they asked and what you thought? This was something they sent today, which was the items that were discussed.
Yeah, I mean, I had been through this process one other time. Excuse me one second, I got noise in the background here, but I had been one other time, and this was very positive. I didn't think they really there were a lot of questions of substance that they asked throughout it. I think they were mostly applauding a lot of the decisions that we had made in the sort of our approach around integrating CTE spaces and the academic spaces. So we got a lot of applause for that, I think, from the folks in the meeting. I think they pushed us a little bit around, creating, looking at the site map. They had a lot of questions about the overall site and the complexity of the site, which I thought Brooke did a nice job of responding to. They pushed us just to think about, they really encourage us to include more stakeholders in the process, which we tried to communicate that there were stakeholders included, but they really encouraged that students and faculty had a stronger voice, in our process that came out. And but overall, I thought it was more like more of a confirmation and an affirmation of our design, and I left there feeling like they didn't have they felt strongly about what we were presenting, and it was more encouragement to continue doing what we were doing. and our approach, I think certainly aligned to what they would have hoped to see from Salem at this stage of the game.
So, I asked Brooke to put this in because they were extremely enthusiastic about this slide of the presentation, which was a Perkins and Will slide. And it was specifically because I think this is where you see the strength of the program. What they really liked about this was that there was a connection between the educational program and what was going on outside the school. Brooke, do you want to add anything about that? Because they loved this.
Yeah, and I think they liked the fact that it gave the faculty and staff this sort of direct correlation. It wasn't just go outside and have outdoor learning, but there was a direct correlation between the interior programs and what was possible and what we would develop on the outside as this sort of holistic ecosystem of education. And they really love that. And I think we really love it too, and Salem really loves it as well. So you can dig into all the specifics, but nothing really requires a lot of additional extra expense too much. I mean, maybe to an extent, there may be some infrastructure, but if you're going to have, culinary arts, you have edible gardens and teaching garden beds, and you sort of make that correlation, and that's near culinary, and it's near the Black Cat Cafe that you start seeing these correlations. So they really like that, and they always ask about what's going on outside, but they've never seen this sort of hand in hand and this sort of direct sort of overlay between the two. So they were happy to see that, and we're all excited about it as well. So we will continue on this journey as we develop the site plan in this schematic design phase.
I can just,
So then, go ahead.
Margaret, can I just add, they did ask us about the square footage for special education spaces. They thought that we had a high percentage of space for special education, to which I explained that we do have a number of our kids that we keep in district in Salem, a higher percentage than other gateway cities. So there were questions about that. And there were also questions about the proximity of the kitchen to the cafeteria, and wanted to, push us to make sure we had, extensive conversations about the arrangement of the first floor and where of the ground level, and where different, the different spaces were. And one area they asked us to think about was the connection between the Black Cat, the kitchen, and the cafeteria on the first floor.
And one thing,
Dominic?
Yeah,
Dominic has a question.
Dominic.
I was going to ask, was there any conversation about the enrollment projections? I know we had some discussions of, was this not the
No,
topic?
didn't come up.
No, they are taking the enrollment as a given, that it's baked into the funding agreement.
I mean, they did ask us to show where we could expand. And we said the only real possible place to expand would be up on the third floor bar. There could be some other spaces, but that was the extent. They asked us to answer that question in the presentation. We did. We showed it in the section, and that was all that was talked about in terms of additional population.
So I got the I had sort of chimed in very briefly at the end of the presentation because I present the options, the sort of overall what's called the preliminary pricing table that you may remember seeing when we took the votes on the submission. They also ask for anyone who's actually gone through and read the 20 pages of MSBA questions on the PDP and the 40 pages of comments in return. At the end of that document, they made the comment that the previous project, which was completed in 2008, involved $60 million of funding from the MSBA. So that was the renovation of the academic wing of the school. And they said they have a policy, which they didn't state in their comment, but is generally their policy, that they want to understand if they have invested in a building and the building is going to be demolished, they want to know why. And typically they will prorate their investment as what is sometimes called a clawback. So they will they do have the ability to reduce their reimbursement if they perceive that they should get a share of this back. So 20 years is kind of rule of thumb. We expect this building to be finished in 2028, which would put us outside of the 20 years. But this policy is not written in stone. So what I did on behalf of the city when they asked for a written description of explanation of why, I wrote a memo that talked about how the changes in education, the changes in enrollment, educational standards, and particularly focused on the existing building envelope and the energy costs were all reasons that this committee had chosen the preferred schematic report. So we won't get a definitive response back on this for quite a while, but I am going to circulate the memo just so everybody can see this and understand that it is an issue that has been raised by the MSBA. So any questions about that? Okay, well, let's keep going.
Margaret, I do have one question. It's more out of curiosity. Why do they make the comparison to elementary schools? That's kind of baffling.
Well, I think that's what Brooke was saying. It was a little, yeah, I mean, agreed. But, I think we joined in as they were presenting it. So we don't know how they presented it. I think
Okay.
they were presenting it. I had the impression they were presenting it as these are the projects that we're looking at this meeting and the next
got it.
one, right?
Okay.
It was like, this is the stuff that's coming in the door. This is giving you context for where these projects are that you're going to be talking about in the window that they were
Okay.
operating then.
But sometimes they forget to mention that point, and I thought we were doing pretty well considering those
Yeah.
are educational, elementary school spaces without CTE, so that's good. And I like the fact that they separated, the building cost with the site cost.
The site
And
costs.
there was a lot of discussion
Really
about this in
important
the past,
distinction.
because they talk about vertical costs, which is the building, and a lot of us fought back because you could have a site like the Stoneham site, which has stadiums and fields and multiple, like, huge athletic complex against something small, and that cost per square foot, if they include the site costs, would appear very high. So they started separating out site costs, which are really relative to each site, right? And then the building vertical costs. So I think that's very positive from the MS to do that.
The other thing to note here is that those 4 other schools are in communities that have not passed the specialized stretch code. So there's costs associated with that as well.
Oh, that's really interesting, Patrick. I hadn't even thought about that.
So they're starting to see those differences. Shall we continue?
Let's continue.
Okay, well, our update is rather brief tonight because our team we've really been regrouping on positioning ourselves to successfully move forward in the schematic design phase. A few days ago, we met with all of our consultants. We had about 30 of them on the phone. We sent them a lot of information and links as how we expect communication to go, the digital communication, the models, the BIM models, the Revit models, talking about challenges and opportunities, asking everyone what kind of meetings do they need to have with you all and the users and the regulatory folks departments. So we are gathering a shared document that we will share with Margaret, the OPM, and others to start setting up these meetings. We will commence these meetings in August, most likely. We might have a couple over the next few weeks. And they will be ongoing. So everybody is, and then not only just saying we need to have this meeting, let's say, for example, we need to know, get confirmation on the mechanical systems. We had a meeting, but is this a sign off? Are we set with that? We need to meet about Horace Mann and the measures that are going on there for, energy efficiencies and how that interfaces with our project. So there's a lot of meetings that we will have with you. We will also be scheduling in September when the faculty and staff come back, department head meetings. So we have had some preliminary discussions. We have set some square footages. We have surveys that are completed, but we will then be asking more detailed information. And we will be going into those meetings with a rough layout so the teachers have something to respond to, and that will be based on the information we've gathered to date. So that's kind of what what we're doing now, really trying to set the foundation. We will talk about our sustainability goals again. Everything we've done in the PSR, we take as a foundation, but not really the final sign off. We also, of course, are developing the design, the models. We will continue to develop the plans, and as stated, we are looking at sort of the relationship of spaces to make sure that everything's in the right space. If there's anything from the district that might require changes, we need to know that sooner than later. And we probably, most of us have in our head what some of the things, what came up in the discussions and what will need sort of the final blessing. And I'm really talking about where things are within each floor. There were some discussion about a few programs that we should just confirm where they stand. So we also had a meeting today with civil and landscape, and we were talking about the grades, and everybody should know this isn't a flat site. I think you probably know that, but you see a site plan and you think, oh, that's great, everything's flat. You'll just walk from Highland all the way down in one flat plane. Well, that's not really the case, or I wouldn't say not really the case, but not the case. We're at elevation about 95.5 at Highland, and we drop down a lot. So we're trying to look at setting the building within those grades, mitigating it to reduce retaining walls, to really support the ideas we're talking about in terms of Highland to wetland, looking at how that path might go through the site, which we talked about, the nature trail path. So there's a lot of balls in the air. And we also, know that logistically the CM will help with, when we sort of take the demo down, we have a lot of fill at that back loading area, and Z is been very supportive. I'm sure he's a little nervous about losing that back area, but that back area will need to be filled, and before the CM would start construction and foundations. We also, in the second week of August, we are doing some borings to get the subsurface conditions so we can really understand our foundation. So that will take place, I think it's 12th, 13th, and 14th. Z and Z is very aware of where they are going. We adjusted some relative to the early education program. So we have a lot going on where everybody's excited to start. We also will produce drawings, as you can imagine. We'll be producing code drawings and accessibility drawings, zoning drawings. We'll have demo plans, overall floor plans, reflected ceiling plans, looking at the ceilings, what are those materials. We'll have the exterior elevations, building sections, and we'll be showing you three-dimensional drawings. That's why I really think that we're going to need to meet more than once, especially September, October, November, when we start moving this along and we talk about materials. And we will have our working group meeting, so they will help advise us as we move forward. On this screen, that's just the schematic design MSBA deliverables, and many of these items you're familiar with because some of them are a repeat from the PSR submission, but we do have to have a DESI submission. That's a separate submission, and that goes through all the special education delivery and all the spaces. They will review those spaces and the locations and have comments about them. And I can say typically if they are integrated with the other academic areas, we will be okay. And if they're not, we would have to have an explanation. Why not? I do want to go over after, not in this meeting, but they talked about having the special education spaces the same size as the regular education spaces, and some of those spaces have a much smaller population. So this just takes you through what the submission is. I won't read them, but I feel like I've given you a pretty broad overview of what's expected. So put on your seatbelts because we will be taking you on a journey, and it will be a fun journey. We will make the process fun and as informative as we can make it, and as easy to understand as possible. We'll probably invite some of the consultants to some of the meetings, and Margaret and I are in the process of plotting out what will happen over the course of the next 4 months. So we will be getting that to everyone, and maybe we'll do that in advance of the next meeting. Anybody have
Okay.
questions?
Thanks, Brooke.
Okay.
All right, so Deborah is on vacation today because honestly, she is doing the heavy lifting on this at this point with the CM selection committee. But I know enough about this to give you an overview, and Paul and Matt are both here, as well as Lisa. So if I get any of the details wrong, let me know. So as I mentioned on the milestone slide, the RFQ has been advertised. We had a site visit. Actually, Brooke, why don't you go to the next slide? Yeah, we had the request for qualifications was posted. And thank you, Anthony, for your help with that. We had a CM site visit last week. There were 5 attendees, and we received statements of interest, which is something we ask people to do so we can understand whether they just came to the site visit or they're actually interested. It's not a commitment to submit, but we think it's very likely we're going to get submissions from these 5 entities. They're alphabetical. The Shawmut Rich is actually 2 companies that have both built schools coming together to do this project. And I think we worked with W2 Rich, as Accenture has, and Brooke has worked with Shawmut. Neither of us has worked with both of them, so it's going to be a learning exercise for both of us. The statement of qualifications are due, I thought it was July 23rd. Paul, you were saying it's later than that?
No,
No,
no, the statement of qualifications, the SOQs are still due July 23rd.
Mhm.
The subcommittee, when we met to review the RFP, was looking at the overall schedule, and it seemed as if we were asking the submitters to turn around after they were notified that they were interviewing a very short time to prepare the interviews. And so the discussion sort of lent us to look at to reschedule, but that date stays. And do you want me to just go through the?
yes, if you wouldn't mind,
No,
because
I
I'm
wouldn't mind at
going to
all.
screw it up.
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
so, and this also in the timeline that Margaret had showed earlier in the presentation. So then the change is the notice to all respondents, that is whether they're interviewing or not, or whether they're allowed to go into the RFP phase, would be August 5th. I'm sorry, the CM shortlist. So instead of August 13th, that is August 5th. So the subcommittee will work quicker and harder so that they can turn that around and notify the CMs on who is shortlisted on the 5th of August. The projected date for the RFP responses is August 26th instead of the September 8th that you see here. And that we have scheduled interviews for September 16th and 17th. So that we should be able to report, if this timeline sticks, we should be able to report back to this committee the results of the interviews. Well, the last date on the 17th, we will spend time to deliberate, and then if all goes well, be able to at least select who it is that we'd like to try to enter into contract with.
That's great. Thank you, Paul.
Yep.
So,
Good question.
Mhm.
When you say shortlist, how many do you anticipate?
So we will shortlist no fewer than 3, but depending on the qualifications and the result of them meeting the requirements that are outlined in both the RFQ, well, in the RFP, it may be 4, it could be 5, but no fewer than 3, and we'll wait to see the submissions to decide whether or not it will be more than that. There's an argument for 4 only because people get busy, they get new projects, they drop out. So we prefer, if possible, to at least have 3 to choose from. So we'll see how it goes when we get the submissions.
yeah, I mean, it's not considered a legitimate bid unless we get 3 proposals.
Right.
So if we only shortlist 3 and then 1 drops out, then we only have 2 proposals. So that's why generally you would do 4. And the question is here is going to be if the 5 is the 5, do we do all 5? Chris O'Donnell?
Yeah, Paul, what was the date? It's not September 8th that the proposals are due. What did you say? August what?
So the date that's on the screen, the September 8th, the proposals are due on the
August
August
26th.
26th.
August 26th. Thank you.
Right. So the idea about that is once when those responses are due, we can turn that around and tell the people who are coming to interview so that they have, I think, about 2 weeks or so or more to prepare for interview.
For the interviews.
The interview dates are the 16th and the 17th. And they will be held in person and in the annex.
But those are not considered public meetings, correct?
They are.
They are.
Yep.
Christy, you all set? Put your hand down. Paul, hand down.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, onwards. Wow, our finance working group date. Okay, well, I mean, I think I promised it was going to be a short meeting. So, Anthony?
No, good evening. Let me just pull up my notes here. I was not ready. But the finance working group did meet yesterday and approve 2 invoices. As usual, one for Perkins and Will, one for Answer. Answer for $48,726.88. Perkins and Will $70,856.81. For a total of $119,583.69.
Questions for Anthony or the committee? All right, thanks, Anthony.
So these are the meetings you should have in your calendar. I will say that at the next meeting, I have been in touch. You will remember that the last meeting we talked a little bit about the project labor agreement concept and what that was. And so I have arranged for the North Shore Trade Council to come and speak at the next meeting. And as you all have requested, to have a counterpoint, and that will be by the Associated Building Contractors, ABC. So we'll get to hear both perspectives. And I'm going to ask them to both prepare some written comments on the criteria, which are in the project labor agreement, so you'll have a chance to look at both perspectives. And I think we're actually also going to ask you all to take a vote at that meeting on the decision to whether or not to have a project labor agreement for the project. So we'll be sending out more material between now and then, but I just want to tell you that that will be a chunk of time at the next meeting.
Thanks, Margaret. Any other comments, issues?
Just a couple things.
Please.
So first, I believe this is James LeBlanc's first meeting coming since Anna left, so I did want to acknowledge that James is here. He's also on the finance working group.
Welcome, James. Glad to have you.
Thanks, everybody. I also wanted to ask about tabling at the farmer's market if material was ready. Or...
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but thanks, you beat me to it. I know Brooke has been straight out, but just wondering where we are with materials.
I sent it to you, Nate.
Oh, you did?
This week, Monday, Tuesday, I think. I don't think it was last.
When you and I talked about this morning, you were going to look and see whether it should be
Right.
printed, what size it should be printed at.
But you got the final draft
Okay.
presentation, and I think we sent it on Monday.
Okay, I'll
And
check.
you were copied, so I think all we need to do is determine first of all, do you all want full big boards, or are you okay with a little bit 24 by 30 or?
Yeah, I would think this is one person's opinion. I mean, most of them are going to be on actual tables. And I would think a 24 by 36 would suffice, but
Right.
I'm happy to hear what others have to say. So did you sent it to me more of an FYI, not to review it for correction?
I sent you the final version of the boards.
Perfect. Okay.
And we just were checking to see, since it's PowerPoint, how big can we print it without it being fuzzy? So that was what Margaret's referring to, but you have the final, you're welcome to change something. It's not a problem, but you have the final boards because Rick marked them up the most, and
I'm fine with it. I apologize. I must have missed that email.
Don't worry. I'll send it to you again if you want. Not a problem.
If you wouldn't mind. Paul, you have a question?
Yeah, not a question so much as a comment. I know Rick is not here, but I would suggest that 2 sets of the boards be generated at least. One for roadshow that other people can utilize, and one for that farmer's market. Rick had volunteered, because his office is adjacent to the market, that one set of boards could be in the office, and they work during the hours. And so people can go in, grab the boards and have them displayed at a table. I don't know who will buy the table stands, whatever that is. I'm happy to donate if people need it, but I think the 24 by 36 boards would be great. And I think, Nate, is there a sign-up sheet, or will there?
Yeah, I'll send the link again. It's a Google Doc. And I'm listing what I have thus far as opportunities to table. And everyone should have the links. You can go in, you can see what's available. You can put your name in, and the times that you're available.
Great.
I'll send it out again. And I'm adding to it. And if you know of something, when you look at the list, if there's something that you know of that's not on the list, just let me know, because what I'll do is I'll reach out to the organizers to get permission to table.
Okay. And I do want to add that Steve had asked me a little earlier this summer. He had said that he would like to see some boards in every single school, so that every school has a display and some information about how to sort of follow up. So we will be generating those before the beginning of school as well.
Excellent.
So I know Paul asked a question about stands. Again, I'm happy to chip in as well. Are we going with 24 by 36?
Are we talking about easels? like tabletop easels
That's
or?
what I'm
Yeah,
thinking. That's what I'm
yeah.
thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, you can't put an awful, I mean, I was there this afternoon. There, I think one of the tables aren't very large. So it might be a combination of a couple of floor easels and a couple of table easels. And again, those could be kept in Rick's office, at least for that particular piece. And if someone wants to take it on the road, they can, maybe there's another set. I mean, it's all about logistics and about how easy it is to access the material. So if it's the easels, again, I'm happy to donate them. And if anybody wants to chuck in, my Amazon account is ready to go. So
Count me in, Paul.
all right, thanks.
Anthony and then Matt.
If the full committee will indulge me, the CM at Risk subcommittee, earlier today I had sent you all a SharePoint link to the files. I know Margaret, it didn't work. Brooke, Paul, Matt, did it work for you?
Yes.
Okay, so and Lisa, it worked for you?
Not for me.
Yes.
Not for you.
No,
Not for
there.
you.
I don't believe so. One second.
Okay. All right. I'm still trying to troubleshoot why it's not working for Margaret. Matt, if you get an error, just email me the error message and I'll try to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry
and
for everyone
I
else.
haven't, did you hear back from Deborah, Anthony? Because I don't know whether it's an Accenture thing. I mean, we have our
Is that-
security stuff that's ridiculous, so.
Joe, it worked for you though, right? You saw the files.
Yes, I was able to access them. Yep.
Okay,
Okay. So
well then it's just me. Because I'm special. All right, well, it's 6:44. Matt, did you have another comment?
I did, yeah. I guess depending on what the easels look like, having given outdoor presentations, 36 by 24 is pretty big in the wind. So you either need an easel that can hold on to the thing, or maybe consideration of a smaller size. That's pretty big. If anybody's walking up to it,
It
my
may not
opinion.
anyway, so we'll let you know what the size is. We can go a little smaller.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, of course, there's a lot of information on many of especially the site slides. If they're too small, people can't see, but maybe it's 18 by 24. I mean, I think, one or the other, there's still going to be sales if it's very windy. So we'll figure it out.
Paul, I'll shoot you an email. We'll talk offline.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else before we go to public comment? All right. Is there anyone from the public actually? No. Okay. Wonderful. All right. So I guess we can move to adjourn. Just need a motion to adjourn. Anyone?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I forget. Do we need a roll call to adjourn? I can't remember. For Zoom?
We have done it sometimes and not others.
maybe the mayor knows. Do adjournment votes need a?
I think for a remote meeting, every vote needs a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Right to your state
Yeah.
representative.
Okay. Let me pull up my little lists that I put away. Give me one sec.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna do this off the screen. All right, Matt, vote to adjourn. Yes.
Matt or Nat?
Matt.
Yeah, yes,
Matt.
yeah, yes,
MATT. Okay, Nate.
yes. Why, yes.
Yes.
Beth Ann.
Yes.
Anthony.
Yes.
Lisa.
Yes.
Actually, okay. I'm gonna skip James. Paul.
Yes.
Dominic.
Yes.
Let's see. We got Keith.
Yes.
That was a yes. Bob.
Yes.
Betsy.
Yes.
Okay, we got it.
All right. Motion
Thank you,
carried.
everybody. See you on August
See ya.
21st.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.